Topic that has people all across Hampton Roads fired up.
We're talking about the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. Tonight, leaders in Suffolk will vote on whether to approve construction and operation of the controversial natural gas line in the city. 13 News Now reporter Evan Watson looked into the implications of tonight's vote and how people in Suffolk are reacting.
Tonight, the Suffolk City Council could cast its final vote of approval for the construction of the Atlantic Coast Pipeline here in the city of Suffolk. But before they could do that, they want to hear from you. There's a public hearing scheduled here tonight at 7 p.m. and there's no shortage of mixed opinions about this pipeline throughout the city. One of Suffolk's most precious resources is its land, something longtime residents know all too well.
It was from my great-grandmother, passing my grandmother, now left for my mom.
Catherine Skinner is 43. She thinks her family has owned land in Suffolk for about 100 years. But a plan to build a natural gas pipeline under the property is still confusing for her mother.
Because she's been receiving a lot of information about it, and she knows it's something that, you know, is dealing with them. So I think she's a little confused, like me.
The Atlantic Coast Pipeline is being built by Dominion Energy and other companies. Once completed, it would run through West Virginia, North Carolina, and Virginia, potentially creating thousands of jobs and millions of dollars in energy savings. But a large part of Suffolk is natural, and gas pipeline construction is anything but.
I think that most people are 100% opposed to any kind of pipeline coming through their area.
For some, construction chaos is one thing, but what really matters is the disruption of the farmland, rivers, and environment.
Historically, you know, there's going to be environmental impacts. You know, they can say that they're going to be lessened, but there's still going to be impacts.
The pipeline debate is not new, with both sides saying they'd like to move forward somehow.
I would like for them to come with the, you know, resolve it, you know, so they can go ahead and get everything done with it, because it's been going on for a little while.
But for others, why change a good environment?
Suffolk is the city that, you know, is still sleeping, you know, that time hasn't touched, you know, and I think that's on purpose, you know, and I'm okay with that.
I talked to some council members earlier today who say they're going to wait to hear what the public has to say before making any final decision tonight. A yes vote would clear up some legal questions and also give the ability for the ACP to come in and start constructing and building that pipeline here in the city of Suffolk. Reporting, Evan Watson for 13 News Now.
Crews are once again working to build the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission approved the project earlier this week after issuing a stop work order last month. Builders say that both the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the National Park Service reaffirmed that the project won't threaten any federally protected animal species. But in West Virginia, a judge ordered construction on another controversial pipeline project to stop temporarily, the Mountain Valley Pipeline. Petitioners are concerned about how it will affect the Greenbrier River. They argue that a permit issued for that project doesn't comply with state law.